Hello, and welcome back to Felony Spectator. I am your host, Heather. Today we're talking about the murder of Christian Obumseli, who was stabbed to death by his OnlyFans model girlfriend, Courtney Clenney, in their Miami apartment. Courtney Clenney, also known as Courtney Taylor, was born April 21st, 1996 to her parents Deborah Lynn and Kim Clenney in Midland, Texas. As a child, Courtney started taking acting classes at the age of 13 and wanted to pursue acting. It said she landed an uncredited role on American Psycho, and it couldn't have been the movie because she was 4 when that movie came out. I also read that she was cast as Evelyn, which is Reese Witherspoon's role. I think there was talks of a TV show coming out, but I couldn't find who was cast in that movie. So I'm not really sure if she had anything to do with American Psycho at all. Anyway, it's also said that Courtney was in the show Everybody Wants Some as an extra. She was in the movie Boyhood playing another uncredited role, and she's said to be extras in commercials. The only thing I could officially find her in is a G-Eazy music video for the song Me, Myself, and I as a girl who sings Happy Birthday. Courtney is a self-described proud Texan and social media model. Looking at her Instagram, which still has 2 million followers, it appears as though she started like many of us do, just documenting your life, food, fashion, friends. I don't see anything about her acting career, but you'll see her photos start to show that she's into fitness modeling, and competitions. At one point, she advertises fitness coaching, and she won a few bikini competitions as well. It then looks like by 2018, she's totally over the competitions and is just a social media model. Her photos also get more and more provocative. She would later meet her boyfriend, Christian Obumseli, sometime near the end of 2020. According to Christian's family, she met Christian while in Mexico. They reported that when the two of them met, he had just lost his job, which meant that Christian and Courtney were able to spend quite a bit of time together when they got back to Texas. They developed a relationship pretty quickly, and after dating for over a year, they both moved to Miami together. They moved to Miami to put down some roots. It said that they both loved Miami and planned to eventually move into a house so that their dogs could have more room to run around in a backyard. They also planned to get a third dog, a golden retriever, and name it Mellow. For the time being, they were in a luxury apartment in Miami. It was a 3-bedroom unit on the 22nd floor with a nice view of Biscayne Bay. It said they paid around $10,000 a month to live in this lavish building. While in Miami, Christian traded cryptocurrency as his official profession and owned a company called Wiseman and Peachtree LLC. According to some websites, he was listed as a media personality, online celebrity, and social media star. I don't know how accurate that description is of Christian, but Courtney was definitely the online celebrity and social media star. She had a large presence on Instagram, but she also had an OnlyFans account. What hasn't been widely publicized is that Christian also participated in Courtney's OF videos. Now, it's rumored that any type of hardcore stuff on the account, he was involved in. So they did make money together, but the account was primarily Courtney's. And Courtney's social media career was pretty successful. She was recently featured on the We in Miami podcast just weeks before the murder, saying that she only dates, quote, rich black guys.
I'm Courtney Taylor, and I do OF for a living.
OnlyFans. You got like 1 million followers or something?
2 million.
Damn. You look like the type of girl that only dates like rich guys. Is that true?
No, that's not true. I only date black guys. Especially black guys. Especially black guys. Let me clarify. I only date rich black guys.
Rich black guys. There we go. And you know you're toxic.
She also says in the podcast that she once dated Jermichael Finley from the Packers, but asked that nobody look him up. I looked him up. He was married in 2008 when she was only 12 years old and has 5 kids with his wife. With that said, he has some baby mamas too, so I'll let you figure out that situation. Now, the way Courtney acted on social media and the podcast might have just been a persona she was trying to sell because Christian was not rich. From what his family report, He did make money, but not rich people money. Most of their money came from Courtney's social media accounts, specifically her OF account. It would later be revealed that in 2021, she made $1,806,003. And in 2022, she made $966,692 just from the OF site. Her OF account has since been shut down, as was one of her 2 Instagram accounts. One is still open. Now, Courtney and Christian had a very tumultuous relationship. It was quite toxic. They argued all the time and also had broken up several times since moving to Miami. One of the last times before he was murdered was in the end of March of 2022 when Courtney made Christian leave while her mother visited from Texas. After about a week, once Deborah went back home, they got back together and he allegedly moved back in April 1st. That same day, they started fighting and again the police were called. I'll show you the body cam footage in a bit, but police thought Courtney appeared intoxicated and no charges were laid against either of them. Christian returned to the apartment that same night. And again, I'm going to talk a lot about more of these fights later on, but first, let's get into the incident. So on April 3rd, just 2 nights after their big fight, when he came back to the apartment, they would have the biggest fight yet. The day apparently started off well. They weren't fighting, but were enjoying each other's company. They played with the dogs for a while before Christian left the house to run some errands and get them some food. Now, we don't know what Christian did when he left the apartment, but while he was gone, Courtney was home and did some filming. She also says that she did some laundry. She then called Christian at 4:01 and subsequently went live on Instagram. And I believe it was this Q&A that she did.
Where do I see myself in 5 years? That's a good question. Okay. I see myself with say 2 children. I would say at least 1 kid. In like 5 years, I want 1 kid. Should I have a daughter or a son? I want like a kid. A few houses. Business going on. Probably not OF, but we'll see.
The key fob and security footage would show that Christian arrived back to the apartment at 4:32 p.m. with the Subway sandwiches. Courtney also called him at 4:33 as he was walking through the building. The fight started pretty soon after he got home, and it was about location sharing. She wanted Christian to share his location when he was out of the house. She had looked for him while he was gone and his location wasn't turned on. I guess he said that he would turn it back on, and the reason it was off was because of their breakup the week prior. In turn, he asked her if she'd share her location with him, and this is what started the fight because her response was something like, "Maybe you don't want to know where I am." Now, they already had trust issues and fought like crazy, so this comment just caused another argument. Deborah, Courtney's mother, had been on the phone at one point while they were arguing. She had called her daughter twice between 4:43 and 4:56 p.m. During that call, Deborah heard her daughter yelling at Christian that he needed to leave the apartment and saying something like he was lying. Also, while they were screaming at each other, neighbors would call security to report a disturbance because they were once again very, very loud. Then at 4:57, Courtney called 911. Here is the call.
One operator down. What is the address of your emergency? Hey, man, please.
3101. It's 130, so 130.
Ma'am, listen to me. You need to stop screaming on the line and give me the address.
3101.
You're gonna die. I can't feel my arm.
3101.
I can't feel my arm.
Ma'am,
so my boyfriend is dying of a stabbing.
Ma'am, what is the address?
What's that? What's the address, baby?
3131.
3131 Northeast 7th Ave. Please, God, please. Come see my boyfriend.
Ma'am, is this a house apartment or a business?
512-745-2582.
Is this a house apartment or a business?
Baby, I'm so sorry. Baby.
Ma'am, can you hear me?
eyes.
No, if you have a stab wound to his shoulder, can you sit down?
What do you mean he has a stab wound on his shoulder, ma'am?
Yeah, he's bleeding from his shoulder.
Rescue, this is PD physician Juliet. The caller, ma'am, hold on one moment. The caller advised the address is 3131 Northeast 7th Avenue, 31 Northeast 7th Avenue. The phone number is verified. The caller advised that her boyfriend has a stab wound. Okay, is this a house, apartment, or a business?
Listen, please, God, please, God. Please, God,
Listen, ma'am. Listen, I'm sending help. I need you to tell me exactly what happened. I'm sending help. How old is he? Ma'am, how old is he? Is he awake? Hello? Hello?
So you can hear in the phone call, Courtney was crying and frantic, saying, "I'm so sorry, baby." And Christian can be heard saying that he couldn't feel his arms and that he was dying. It's said that when police arrived, Courtney was sitting on the floor, cradling Christian in her arms between the two spare bedrooms in the hallway. She would admit that it was her fault, so she would be put in cuffs and sat down while they attended to Christian. TMZ released a video that a neighbor captured of Courtney sitting near the window. So you can see her kissing her dogs and not really looking overly upset. Courtney would be brought to the station and reported that during their argument, Christian had shoved her against the wall and held her by her neck, and this made it hard for her to breathe. Then he threw her to the ground. She says then Christian walked into the living room while Courtney remained in the kitchen. She picked up a kitchen knife and told Christian not to come near her. She also claims that he has held her neck in the past and that she was scared. But she also says it wasn't that hard. She contradicts herself several times throughout the interview about how hard he actually held her neck.
When I was up against the wall, I mean, when he had me like this, I was just trying to get it off.
Yeah, you're trying to get it in.
But it wasn't, I didn't feel.
You felt the pressure?
It wasn't a long time.
Yeah.
It wasn't a long time, and it wasn't extremely hard. It was kind of just like, I don't know if that makes sense.
Okay. And then he put you on the ground after that.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said something that you don't remember what he said.
Gritting his teeth.
Okay. And then he let you go.
But she's consistent with saying that she was scared. Then she thought he was about to come back into the kitchen and grab her again, so she throws the knife at him. He was apparently 10 to 20 feet away, and this knife would go about 8 inches into his chest near his clavicle. That must have been quite the throw. However, she says she just tossed it and made it sound like it wasn't very hard.
I don't know. I really don't know if this is justified at all. I actually don't know.
Well, that's what
I really don't know, because I know I was scared, but I really don't know.
So you grabbed the knife?
Because I grabbed a knife. I grabbed a knife and I said, like, pretty much just like, don't get any close to me. And then, said something, came at me. And then I just threw it. And I really
How exactly did you throw it? Did you just throw like that?
How many times?
No, how exactly did you throw it? Like, you threw it like this, Or kind of like you flung it at him, overhead, or how did that?
Oh, I just flung it.
You just flung it over your head, or from
like this.
Okay.
So
from like beside your head.
Holding it, yeah. So not like I'm holding it like this. This is not the knife. The
blade to it.
Right, the blade. I'm not. I for dang sure did not stab him. That would be insane. I mean, I didn't even think that this would touch him. But I mean, I thought that I would scare him. I would scare him by just grabbing it. I thought I would scare him by just grabbing it, but that didn't work. So anyway, comes at me and then I just flung it. Okay. And I was kind of just trying to fling it past.
When you.
Now, I don't know if this is the exact floor plan that I'm going to show you, but it's one of only 2 3-bedroom floor plans in the apartment, and there's only very slight differences. So according to her, she was somewhere in here, the kitchen, and he was over here in the living room. Now, lots of other details are sketchy. She doesn't remember a lot of what was said or what happened after she threw the knife. She thinks he kept trying to lie down and she was following him around. She thinks he may have pulled the knife out, but she also doesn't know. Maybe it just fell out of his chest. Courtney also talked about how the days started off perfect. They had recently got back together and woke up loving on each other, just happy again. Christian went to get these sandwiches and they had plans to go to the park with the dogs later in the day. She even talks about how Christian came home and her sandwich was perfectly made. She was thrilled that he got her order right because he had refused to recite it back to her before he left. Then he got home, got into a fight, and then she says she overreacted. But then she corrects herself saying, "No, I just reacted." Courtney would also show investigators her cell phone and specifically a text message to her mother sent at 5:25 p.m. that mentions self-defense and asking her mom not to speak to anyone without an attorney. Deborah did speak with investigators, but she never mentioned that she heard any violence during the phone call or that Courtney was being choked or hurt, only that Courtney wanted him to leave and that he was lying. Investigators noted that Courtney didn't have any marks on her neck or any indication that she was injured or choked by Christian. Despite this, Courtney was released after being interviewed by police. Now, this surprised a lot of people and angered Christian's family. Why was she free walking around after admittedly killing a person? I should point out that Florida has a stand your ground law, which means that if you feel as if you're in a situation where you need to prevent bodily harm or imminent danger, you're allowed to use any force necessary. Canada doesn't have this. We require our residents to retreat first, but in reasonable cases, self-defense is allowed. We just don't have a specific law. Another thing that made people really mad was that Courtney was seen in a bar in Miami with her father just 2 days after she killed Christian.
I'll videotape her. Right now, you should go. Yeah, you should go. Because you just killed your boyfriend. Yeah, you did. Yeah, and yeah. Okay. Cool.
Personally, I think that's strange, especially because right after her police interview, she had been put under the Baker Act. The Baker Act permits law enforcement to commit a person to a mental health facility for up to 72 hours for evaluation. She was not diagnosed with any mental illness, not bipolar, not depression, or anything at the time of the initial investigation. Her attorney was quoted saying that she struggled with the pain of being a survivor of domestic violence. But then one of the first things she does is go to the bar. It's a little odd. Now let's talk about the relationship and how toxic it was. There was one pretty big fight in which Courtney claims that she was suicidal during a heated public argument. This fight started because a stranger, walked up to the car and started yelling into the car, making fun of Courtney for her car or something along those lines. This man continued to provoke her by saying, "Come swing at me." So she opened the door and hit him. Then Christian gets out of the car and asks her to apologize. Here is the audio of the fight.
Baby, please, just get in the car. Just please. I'm sorry for calling you stupid. You will never hear me doing that. Was not right for me to do that. Please, baby, don't kill yourself.
You will never protect me.
I will.
Somebody was being horrible to me.
Hey, You defended them. Okay, just tell me in the car. Get away from me. Stay here. You're gonna. Your dogs are your.
Jesus said stay here.
See, just stop, please. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, you make yourself look good.
No, I'm
in
not.
front of people.
No, it's my fault.
He said it's his fault.
Courtney, just come on, bro. Courtney, please, your dogs are in the car.
You just told a lowlife. You just told me a that to a lowlife. You're supposed to protect me.
Yes, and I know. I'm sorry.
Oh. No. Both my dogs better be in that.
Right there.
You are so lucky both my dogs.
Stop hitting me.
You are no, because you let my dogs.
I'm looking at for you.
My dogs.
My bad.
My dogs are more
Okay, my
important.
bad. I'm just making.
No, not your. Give me something. Give me something better than my back.
I'm sorry. Okay, Courtney, just stop.
Don't ever do that again.
Okay, just stop it. It's okay. Stop.
As you can hear, she sounds pretty mad that Christian didn't stick up for her, and I get it. The stranger made fun of her, and maybe Christian should have defended her. But she got violent with the man, which obviously isn't okay. And the fact that he asked her to apologize to the stranger makes it seem as though Christian didn't like the drama and was embarrassed by her actions. Or maybe he wanted to avoid the police because maybe the stranger would have pressed charges. Courtney then gets violent and starts hitting Christian. This particular fight was so intense that bystanders got involved to help calm her down. Now, Courtney and Christian's relationship was toxic even before they moved to Miami. There was lots of fighting, and Courtney often turned to using weapons when she got out of control. In July of 2021, she was taken into custody on suspicion of domestic battery against Christian. They got into a heated argument at the Cosmopolitan Hotel. It said that Courtney woke Christian up from the couch and wanted him to go to bed. And he didn't want to, and this started an argument. Courtney admitted that she threw a glass in the direction of her boyfriend's head and had thrown other objects as well.
The investigation shows that you threw a glass at him, and that in this state is considered battery. And since you two are in a relationship, that is considered battery of domestic violence. It's a mandatory arrest.
Okay, there's a lot that I didn't say because I didn't want him to get in trouble.
Okay.
Grabbing me and pushing me down.
They dropped the case, so charges were never put forward. There is also a time where Christian was arrested in Texas when he pushed Courtney while in a hotel lobby. Since Courtney's arrest, security footage was also released showing one of their altercations from February 21st inside the elevator in their Miami apartment. I'm going to show that to you now. As you can see, Courtney's hitting Christian many times. She pulls his hair, slaps him, pushes him, you name it. You can see she's very angry and yelling, although there isn't any sound. Now, Christian doesn't really fight back. He just sort of pushes her off a few times, but it seems as though he's trying really hard not to react. But again, there's no sound in this video, so we don't know what he's saying. Now, remember, they also got into a fight 2 days before he was murdered. During Courtney's interview at the station, she downplayed this fight. She implied that the security in the building had it out for them and called because they were loud. She didn't elaborate much, but she made it seem like it wasn't that big of a deal. A video would later surface from the police body cam showing Courtney visibly upset and screaming about wanting a restraining order and that Christian had been stalking her.
I'm in my apartment. I got locked up by my boyfriend.
Okay, where's your ID or anything so you can let him know that you live in the apartment?
In my apartment.
So everything's in your apartment?
It's all under my name. I pay the whole rent. He has never paid a freaking dime of rent. And he somehow made like friends with them to him here. I broke up with him. My mom came out. My mom came out to like help me break up with him, and I just couldn't do it. He slept in my elevator room inside of a couch. I hope that there's a camera. He slept inside of a couch in my elevator room, which is stalking. Is where I'm supposed to be. But I never would have called. I never would have called the police for that.
You didn't call.
I didn't. Nobody.
I called. You called.
What's
going on? Okay, hold on, man. Let him talk.
Okay.
Hold on.
Okay.
Go ahead.
The front desk personnel.
What do you want to say?
I want to be like, I want to be like exonerated, I guess, of like anything wrong. And I want him, okay, the police are here. I want a restraining order against Christian Obumseli.
We don't issue those.
Because, no, I'm serious.
Courts.
Can I do that? Where
you have
can
to
I
go to court. You have to go to
okay,
downtown.
How can I make myself first? Because I know him and he would do it. How can I make myself first?
You got to get there first.
175 Northwest for a second.
Before
175 Northwest.
Is he already on the way?
We have no idea. We don't even know how it looks like.
We don't even know who he is. How do we know that?
So you question this. I need a restraining order against him.
Okay, do you hear all this?
Listen.
Okay, they're listening.
Who's on the phone with you?
Just my dad.
Apparently, he was sleeping on the couch in the elevator after they broke up. But no charges or restraining orders were ever put forward. And after the fight, she let Christian back in. Now, some people would argue that she was a victim of abuse and this was her trying to get help. But instead, she let her abuser back in. There is also this little video that surfaced after an argument where she accuses him of gaslighting her.
Decide whether or not you're done gaslighting me. Decide whether or not you're done gaslighting.
I am mad that you told me to come.
Decide right now.
Courtney, that's a fucking threat. I asked you so many times that I don't know, and I apologize. But you hit me.
Shut the fuck up, bitch. Don't fucking.
So as you can see, they just fought all the time. By the time the stabbing occurred, their building manager was looking into moving forward with legal action to evict them. They were a nuisance and no longer welcome. People pay a lot of money to live in that luxury apartment, and they just don't want to hear grown adults screaming at each other all the time.
Don't touch me!
What is going on? Like, are you gonna get this mad at me when I'm apologizing to you?
No, Christian.
Like, you're thinking I'm doing it on
Drop your high pitch.
Okay, I'm not doing it on purpose.
You touched Sahara. You know damn well the right thing to do is to tell me.
Yes, and I am so sorry.
So shut up and let me fucking slap you, dumbass.
No, you're not gonna slap me.
Give me my phone.
You have your phone.
I don't have it anymore. Find it and fucking charge it.
What?
Find it and charge it.
I'm sorry, Courtney.
I don't care. Find it and charge it.
Okay, just stop.
Don't talk to me.
Oh, man.
Yeah, man. Oh, man.
Because I'm telling you I'm sorry.
It's like hard. Find my fucking phone and charge it.
Courtney's lawyers have requested that a lot of the evidence gathered by the Crown not be made public. They felt it was salacious and explicit. Now, when Courtney was arrested, they downloaded everything off of her phone, so they have hundreds, if not thousands of photos and videos that would have been for her job on OnlyFans. Her attorneys insist that these videos have nothing to do with the events of Christian's murder, and they just don't want them out there. This was denied because of Florida's laws where trials and evidence are made public. Now, Courtney has repeatedly said that Christian was the abuser, but only abused her behind closed doors. I don't know. The evidence so far shows that he wasn't. And yes, these are just snapshots of certain incidents where Courtney is the one in the wrong, but there isn't anything yet to prove otherwise. We also have to keep in mind that all of the audio was also recorded by Christian. It obviously paints Courtney in a very negative way. She didn't know she was being recorded, but it shows that she has a very hard time controlling her emotions. The state's attorney's office stated that they would review the police files and evidence and will take appropriate action in accordance with the law, but they also said that they believed it was a domestic violence incident with both of them fighting and implied self-defense. Christian's family just want justice, and they do not believe that Christian was a violent person. He was raised with good morals and would have better judgment than to want to cause physical harm to Courtney. They even went on to say that they strongly believe that Courtney was being treated differently because of her, quote, privileges as a wealthy white woman, and to add insult to injury, the person responsible to killing Tony, they referred to him as Tony, is walking around free, end quote. And I mean, they're not wrong. Christian came home with sandwiches, and within 13 minutes, he had a knife in his chest. Obviously, we weren't there, so we truly don't know what happened, but I'm sure if the roles were reversed, Christian would have been arrested. Or even if it was a black female, the outcome may have been different. Courtney's attorneys denied the allegations that she was getting special treatment and thought that it was irresponsible, and there was substantial evidence that Courtney was the victim of domestic violence. He also made sure to say that she was mourning the loss of Christian and was filled with absolute grief and despair. The autopsy performed by Miami-Dade County Chief Medical Examiner Kenneth Hutchins determined that the knife had fatally punctured an artery in Christian's chest. The cause of death was homicide. The knife had entered in a downward angle and was embedded 8 centimeters into the victim's chest. He further stated that this wound could not have happened the way Courtney Clenney said it happened. It was a forceful downward thrust. Christian's family felt like they weren't getting anywhere with the investigation. Courtney was off living her life while Christian was dead. So they decided to tell their story on Dr. Phil. While on Dr. Phil, they also discussed how Courtney's lawyer implied that Christian was trafficking Courtney. They were appalled that it was implied that Christian was using Courtney to make money by selling her. She is not and never was a prostitute. She was the one who had the OF account with 2 million followers. The money was in her name, and she paid taxes on that money. A friend of Courtney's went on the show Anonymous and confirmed that the relationship was abusive, but that it was Courtney who was the abuser.
We agreed to disguise her voice. Are we all connected?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for being here and joining us in this conversation today.
Of course.
Now, I understand that you and your boyfriend did have the opportunity to witness Toby and Courtney together. What did you observe?
In the beginning, they seemed very in love, and, you know, they were having a lot of fun, and a few months in, it turned into something pretty dark.
You say it turned pretty dark. Are you talking about that verbal abuse and physical abuse?
Yeah, I mean, we knew Toby before he started dating Courtney. So, you know, to see someone like him who was always like bright and like social turn into someone that was like always being pulled away, and you could visibly see like how the relationship started to stress him out.
And who was doing the abusing?
Courtney, 100%.
So it was always her that you observed being abusive to him, not him abusing her?
Correct. It would be something where she would get upset over the smallest things, and then she would have to like pull him outside. And then it always escalated into us hearing her screaming at the top of her lungs. Over time, yeah, we did see some physical violence on her end.
She will hopefully speak at the trial, but she claims to know that both Courtney and Christian and that the relationship was very dark. Other friends of Courtney's also spoke on the show and said that he was stealing money from Courtney.
Personally know Courtney. I've worked with her in the past. I went on a few trips with her, so I do know her personally. I've met her boyfriend, Christian. Yeah. What most people don't know is they actually broke up last month. So it's not even that they were even together anymore, actually. Yes. So he was actually stealing money from her and like back and forth, like for a full like 2 or 3 months, just stealing money from her account. And she was really upset about that, obviously. Yeah. And I have no idea if that was the reason the domestic violence happened or whatnot. But obviously somebody doesn't stab somebody for no reason. We have no idea what happens behind closed doors. It's kind of scary that our world is so judgmental and they want to bring out the worst in people before we even know the full story.
Well, that was a friend of Courtney's named Samantha.
This is contradictory to the trafficking statements, though. If he was trafficking her, he wouldn't need to steal her money. The money would be his, not hers. I also feel like he would kick her out of the apartment if they broke up, not him leaving. To me, that just doesn't make sense. But I know nothing about human trafficking when it comes to social media. After the stabbing, Courtney was moving on with her life. She bought a home back in Texas, not far from where her parents lived, worth $1.3 million. This home was just over 3,000 square feet with a pool and a hot tub and 5 bedrooms. And she bought this home only 2.5 months after Christian passed away. Her father mentioned that she wanted to escape Miami and come home to Texas. The apartment in Miami was over $10,000 a month, so this would also save her money. She was very traumatized by the apartment and just couldn't stay there anymore. It wasn't until August, 4 months later, did Courtney finally get charged against the death of Christian. Police arrested her in Hawaii while she was attending an expensive rehab facility. She first appeared in a Hawaiian courtroom where she was formally charged with the second-degree murder with a deadly weapon. She agreed to go back to South Florida for the trial, but was held without bail pending an extradition. In the August 4th affidavit, the crime scene would sadly show that there had been blood trails all over the apartment. Christian was walking around while he was bleeding to death. There was blood droplets in the kitchen leading to the master bedroom, bathroom, then back into the living room. In the living room was the bloody knife along with a bloody bedsheet. There was another trail leading from the living room into the guest bathroom. At the entrance of the guest bathroom was a puddle of blood and blood transfer on the wall. It appeared as though Christian then got up again and attempted to walk down the hall. He was found in the intersection of the 2 guest bedrooms in Courtney's arms. Now remember, Courtney claims that she was in the kitchen and he was in the living room when she threw the knife. The blood seems to have started in the kitchen. So did he walk into the kitchen first and then started dripping blood, or was he actually stabbed in the kitchen first? Courtney's attorney would continue to make statements trying to make Christian look like the abuser and that the case was still self-defense. He was confident that the facts would prove this during the trial. He went on to say, quote, Courtney was seeking treatment for her PTSD and related issues to the case, and it is an absolute injustice to charge a victim of domestic violence and human trafficking with a crime, end quote. Again with the accusations of trafficking. They have lots of friends and partied with lots of people. Nobody has corroborated the trafficking yet. I guess it's possible he was forcing her to do the OnlyFans, but on the surface, it just doesn't seem that way. Now, we can't be naive to think that he doesn't get angry, but friends don't think he'd be so angry or put Courtney in a position where she would think that she had to defend herself that way. Conversely, a neighbor had spoken out saying that he thought he saw Christian hit Courtney, but he wasn't sure because he wasn't close enough to see if it was a closed fist or an open fist. The neighbors all agree, though, that their fighting was constant. They were so loud that neighbors who lived 2 floors above them could hear them fight. Now, I guess a lot of Courtney's fans do believe that she was the victim of an abusive relationship. And this is based off of some photos that were released of Courtney's limbs showing bruising. These were released after the audio clips and videos were made public. And these photos were taken at home and I believe by her mother. Interestingly, when at the police station, when she was asked if she had any bruises, she didn't seem to think she had any. Now, if you were being physically abused, wouldn't you point out any bruises right away, especially when investigators are taking pictures of you, specifically asking for bruises? And lastly, letters and text messages have also surfaced showing that Courtney had cheated on him. You can pause to read these as they're quite long. The texts show that she also previously stabbed Christian in the leg and he had to go get stitches. Now, I guess she apologized, but then they fought again and she slapped him on his fresh stitches. She was constantly hurting him. Now, we haven't seen any text messages from Courtney yet accusing him of hurting her, so that might come up in the trial. During the bond trial, we did learn that her father is an investment advisor and assisted Courtney in handling some of her money after the incident. Kim testified that Courtney only had about $11,000 in her name and $375,000 in equity on her new house, but that's it. He also admitted to taking over being in charge of her finances and wiring large chunks of money to his own accounts because, according to him, she was a mess due to trauma and drinking. One wire transfer was for $121,000, another for $1,013,000, and the last one for $50,000. After that, he only left her a few $1,000s to live on. Kim, her father, also testified that he didn't believe his daughter was a flight risk and that she deserved bond. He claims she paid for her own rehab, which was more than $35,000, and she didn't have much money left to flee with. Prosecutors argued that he might help her flee, but of course he denied those allegations. Kim also thinks that her OnlyFans account is closed, and Courtney's manager has informed him that she can't open a new one. He also claims that he was unaware of her OF account up until recently, but he would welcome his daughter home if she made bond. She did not make bond and will be held until the trial. My thoughts? This case obviously isn't over yet, and I'm not sure when the trial will be, so I'm going to have to keep you updated on what happens. I think it's safe to say she'll claim self-defense, and I've heard conflicting information on how hard or how easy it is to win a stand your ground case in Florida. Now, Christian didn't have a weapon, but she claims that he choked her. With the history of their relationship being violent, she might have a case. But there was also no marks on her neck from being choked. The only witness we have as well is Courtney's mother, who hasn't really said much at all at this point. So it'll be interesting to see what she says during the trial. Most of the stuff that has been released so far paint Courtney in a very bad light, in my opinion. To prove self-defense, her lawyers will have to show that she truly thought that her life was in imminent danger. And I'm not convinced that it was. In my mind, if you hurl a knife across the room because you think someone is going to kill you first or seriously harm you, wouldn't you then run for your life out of the apartment? Instead, she just stays in the apartment, following him around, calling 911 in tears and apologizing. She was then seen sitting on the floor and kissing her dogs. At the station, she also spoke very highly of Christian and talked about their future together and wanting to get to the hospital to see him. She didn't sound like someone who was scared for her life or scared of the person she stabbed. Her interrogation video is online, and I think that is sort of the best way to gauge how she feels about this situation. So I encourage you to go and watch it. Now, maybe her attorneys have some other evidence that they've kept a secret and are waiting until the trial, but until we see the trial, it seems as though this was just another one of their fights and Courtney took it too far. Now, I'm not saying Christian wasn't mean or didn't instigate fights, but I just don't think Courtney was scared of Christian. What do you think? Are you waiting until the trial to make a decision, or do you think it looks like Courtney was just really angry and lost her temper? That's it for today. Thanks again for joining me here at Felony Spectator, and we will see you again soon.
Because obviously I'm here to protect you. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Courtney, so it's 10:45 p.m. right now. Okay. Let's start off with. So I have a picture. Let me know if this is Christian or not. Okay. Yeah, that's Christian. Okay. So we have to inform you that Christian did not make it. Okay. Unfortunately, the doctors did what they could, and
Christian is dead.
Yes.
Oh my God. This is not real, right? Okay. There's no fucking way. Christian died? Can I please have a hug? Am I allowed to do that in here?
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Relax. You're fine.
No.
Calm down. Calm down. Take deep breaths. Just take deep breaths. You're gonna be okay?
I need to hug my mom.
I'll talk to your parents and get them over here.
I cannot be left alone in like a room by myself.
You won't be.
After this. No, that's not true. That's not real, right?
It is real.
Christian is dead.
Yes. They're not gonna lie.
I know, I just can't believe it.
I'll talk to your parents. I'll get them. I'm gonna get your parents here ASAP.
We spoke to your parents, and they're trying to do everything possible to get here as soon as possible as well.
To what?
To get your parents, for them to come over here. So they're doing everything possible right now to find a way to get down here.
Deep breaths. Just take deep breaths.
I've been crying so much.
Don't.
And I just can't even cry right now.
Just take deep breaths. It's a shock. Just